Hey guys, what's up? This is Brian with Games Under Pressure, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Ori and the Blind Forest. This is a new release game, and it's developed by Moon Studios, published by Microsoft Studios. You can get this on the Xbox One, the Xbox 360, and the PC. This is video of the PC version, as you can probably tell, in glorious 4K. So this is a very, very powerful game, an emotionally powerful game. And part of the reason why it's so emotionally powerful is because of this intro sequence. And so when this really gets started, I'm going to shut up and sort of let you watch this because I think it's really, really something special. It's one of the best openings, frankly, I have ever seen in any game. So I'm blown away by it. And once we see this intro here, I'll sort of take you through the basics of the game. But check this out and enjoy. So wasn't that just incredible, that intro? I'm blown away by it. Every single time I see it, I just blown away by it. They're able to communicate so much emotion, just this wide breadth of emotion, with a very simplistic style of storytelling. And I think that is lost in a lot of modern games. The ability to tell a very, very emotionally compelling narrative without the need for voiceover, without the need for a lot of exposition. And that intro, man, oh, it's so good. It's among the best intros I think I've ever seen in a game. So let's get into what this game actually is, like the core mechanics of this. This is what is called a Metroidvania title, and if you've never heard that term before, it basically stands for two games, Castlevania and Metroid, and specifically Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Some would even say Castlevania 3 in some ways, and Metroid. And the genre is really like basic 2D side scroller with a larger map, areas that are walled off until you get a certain ability or two, or in this case there are a number of different movement abilities that allow you access to different parts of the map that you didn't have access to previously, and light RPG elements. And there are some light RPG elements in this title. You can there's basically a skill tree with 3 different branches that you can unlock, and it's pretty cool, because just when you thought that you sort of have the mechanics down, you have the basics down, this game throws more abilities at you, and you'll see a few of them a little bit later on. And in motion, this game is just absolutely gorgeous. I love what I'm seeing. It looks like a painting come to life. Just look at that. It's incredible. Just incredible, the effects and everything. If you have a 4K monitor at home, definitely check this video out on that monitor. You have to see this game running at 4K resolution. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And you can see now what Moon Studios is doing is they're really playing around with the foreground and the background. You can see some of these enemies here that had been in the foreground, and then they went into sort of the main area. Ori has a few tools at his disposal. So what you see me doing here, and here's the ability tree, by the way. I just leveled up my weapon, and you see those little fireballs sort of shooting out, those little balls of light shooting around. That is Ori's main weapon, and you don't have to aim it. You just sort of have to get in the range of an enemy. And that map screen, you're going to use pretty often, like Castlevania, like Metroid, to find out where you're going. This game is very different from other titles in the Metroidvania genre because the attacks are very non-specific. So, like I said, you just have to sort of get to an enemy and jam on the attack button and then avoid that enemy. A little bit earlier, there was this rhino sort of enemy that you have to jump over. Other enemies, like the creatures that are on the ceiling here, you have to avoid their attacks while just getting close enough to use your weapon. And it's a very simplistic combat mechanic, but it works very well. It works surprisingly well, and as you can see here, it's a little bit difficult to get used to at first, just because it is so strange. And I think that is sort of the tale of this game in a lot of ways. And it's not about combat, it's more about movement and more about traversal. So, you know, getting close enough to destroy an enemy and then having to dodge and roll and get out of the way of its attacks. That's really what the game is all about. And it makes sense too, because if you look at Ori, he's just this small little dude. So to expect him to be able to go toe-to-toe with some of these larger creatures, I think this fits tonally. I think it fits. So I'm just going through here, trying to clear some of the way. So you have a few options for saving. So if you find a spirit well like that, you can save in that spirit well, and you can also use it to heal yourself. If you press B at any time, if you have enough energy to do so, I believe they call it the spirit. I think they call it a spirit well as well. But at any time, you can press B when that's charged and create this well where you can save it, and you can access your ability tree if you have ability points that you want to spend. It's a pretty handy system. It eliminates the need to have static save points. Ori does have some really basic tools at his disposal. So you can move that rock, as you saw, and that's just done by pressing the right trigger and moving back and forth. Interestingly enough, the first time I played it, not in this playthrough, but in the first one, I was using an Xbox 360 controller on my PC. For whatever reason, the triggers just weren't registering, so I ran around for probably 40 minutes trying to figure out how to pull that damn rock. And you can see here, so I need some other items to be able to open that door, and you can get a pretty good idea of where you are on the map, where certain items are on the map, and there are a few skills on the skill tree that allow you to get a better idea of where items are on your map. So you can go through, customize your skill tree, and there we go, that's the other key. Customize your skill tree for your playstyle. You might be tempted to look at this game and think that it's simplistic. I mean, even though it's a gorgeous, gorgeous game, it's a visual, visual style that is relatively simple. It's elegant in its simplicity, but it's, there aren't any like really super flashy 3D sequences. It's just gorgeous to look at, and you might look at that and dismiss it as simple, but the game is actually surprisingly deep. There is a lot of depth here, and a lot of it is really skill-based too, so just getting the handle of moving around in a seamless way, learning enemy attacks, being able to dodge those. I would love to see them do some kind of cartoon or a movie with these characters. I think they're very, very, very interesting. And it's not too often that you get a game with this emotional depth. I think that's really special. The animation is so fluid, everything runs without a hitch. There are all these effects going on at any given time, and it's so silky smooth, even at 4K. The only time I'm running this on 3 Nvidia 980s at this moment, and the only time that I ever dipped below 60 frames a second was on a single cutscene. But overall, this game, it's gorgeous, and it just runs so beautifully. So I'm about to get an ability here. The story is a little bit hard to follow. And this is where the movement really takes off. So this is a little bit like a Mega Man X style wall jump. And in that Metroidvania style, now I can access certain parts of the level that had been previously inaccessible. So it's just a matter of going back and, with this new ability, finding areas that I couldn't access prior to this. I just love the character designs too. Visually, everything about this game is just almost perfect. Let's check the map here. And that big pulsing area, that's the area that you have to go to. And a lot of the time your path there will be windy and twisty, and typically you have to find 1 or 2 abilities to get to the point where you can get there. Those yellow orbs, when you collect those, you can see I have 2 ability points here, so I'm going to use both of those. So now those little orbs that drop are sort of magnetized to me. But those orange, yellowish orbs, they are what fill up that circle at the bottom of the screen and give you more ability points to spend. It's almost hard to concentrate on doing some commentary here because the game is just so much fun to look at. Some serious, serious time went into these graphics. I think I doubled back accidentally here. There's another spirit door. If you told me this was done in like the UbiArt framework, I wouldn't be totally surprised. Because it has that Rayman Origins / Rayman Legends look to it. Just a little bit more serious. Less cartoony. You gotta get up. And look at the transitions too. I mean, that's something to really pay attention to. These areas transition so seamlessly. The tone of each part. So here I'm gonna go all the way to the right now and watch. Look at the color palette change, and it adopts a completely different look. Whereas Castlevania Symphony of the Night was a little bit more siloed in some aspects. You know, you'd go to the bell tower, and the bell tower would look completely different. There wasn't then say like the dining room. There wasn't a whole lot of subtle transition between those disparate siloed areas. And with this, you get this very, very, very seamless look. And you can see again, the color palette changes. Gotta find key here. And this is cool. I found a fragment of the map stone. And watch this. The whole map gets filled in. Which is very, very cool. Very Symphony of the Night-ish. I personally love the Metroidvania genre. Games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night is actually probably my second favorite game of all time, and then you have awesome other games like Super Metroid and Shadow Complex, and it's a genre that has really given birth to some of the most influential games of all time. Games that put certain people like Igarashi on the map. You know, the sunlight streaming down is just, man, it's so good looking. So this is a really good example of some of the platforming that you'll encounter a little bit later on, and why movement becomes such a big deal. It's actually fairly challenging, too. I'm gonna save here, and that's done just by holding down B. There are some fairly challenging keys to get over here. I need one more. This is the most challenging one here. Oh, I died. The music is so wonderful in this game as well. It fits the mood perfectly. It's beautiful in its composition. Man, oh man, that's a tough one. I don't know of any way to sort of slide down walls. So it just requires some very precise jumping. I'll just sacrifice a little damage there to grab the key. And you can see the different abilities opening up different areas of the map. And there's a cutscene right here. I'm going to shut up and let you listen to it, because that's pretty cool. And this is the only cutscene where I dipped below 60 frames a second. So it's a pretty intensive cutscene. So again, another gorgeous, gorgeous cutscene. And I think that'll about do it. I'll leave it right here. This game is available right now, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, which is what this version is. So I can't speak to the other two. I can just speak to the PC version. $20 right now. It is absolutely worth it, if just for the eye candy, if just to see this game in motion. It's a lot of fun. It looks great. That opening is one of the best openings I've ever seen in a game. I think it's that good. It's just a lot of fun. I'm having a blast with it. Definitely check it out. Again, this is a game that sort of took a lot of balls to make in this day and age, especially for Microsoft Studios to publish it. I think that's really cool. So definitely give this game your money. It's worth it. I'm sure you'll have a great time. And if you like gameplay videos and impressions in 4K, please rate and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. If you subscribe, that's going to help me keep bringing you videos like this on a regular basis. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching.